Hi, my name is Sheila Posada, and I'm a master's candidate for education and technology. This is my observation video, and this will be my first one of three. I have chosen to observe a classroom to specifically look for culture awareness. I have chosen Mrs. Boyd's class because she has one of the most diverse classrooms on our campus. She has many ethnicities and several students from outside the United States. She has many learning styles from gifted and talented um, to ESL students in her classroom. She has 25 students and it is almost balanced between the genders. Mrs. Boyd has taught fifth grade language arts previously. This year, Mrs. Boyd will be teaching third grade math and science. It is her fourth year teaching, however, it's her first year in third grade and teaching math, science, and social studies. I've requested to come into her classroom, and she has graciously accepted. The observation would take place during her math block for her students. So I want to set what my objectives are. My objective is to view her classroom from an administrator's lens for cultural awareness. I am not there to co-teach, interrupt her class, nor redirect students. I am there to observe only. I will be noting Mrs. Boyd's attention to learning differences. Does she differentiate to meet students' needs? Gender sensitivity, meaning um, does she stereotype when instructing, providing feedback, or giving tasks? Does her classroom environment encourages multicultural awareness for students and recognizing there are many cultures, and how does that engagement or lesson incorporates it? Last would be ethnic appreciation. Does her classroom value variations in culture and background that may affect students' understanding or responses? These are the areas I will be observing while in Mrs. Boyd's class. I look forward to the observation and finding how cultural aware is Ms. Boyd's class, as well as how attentive I am to the information and practices being shared. So once I do my reflection, I'll be looking to see, was I taking notes? Was I listening? Was I focused on and was I gaining information based on what I'm specifically in there to observe? Okay, thank you.
Kaylee, what you got? Right? So how would I say that? No, not 2 minus 5. You had it right. There we go. Kaylee said 2 groups of 5. And then she said 2 times 5. So we have 5 times 2. We have 1 times 10. 2 times 5. All have a product of 10. Jayla says there's one more. Jayla?
10 times 0. Wait. 0 times 10? No.
If we multiply anything by 0, what do we get?
0.
Braulio?
1
Nope, we did 1 times 10. 10 times 1. Is that all?
No. Yes. Yes.
Lorenzo, sit up. All right, let me give you another one. See how many I can make up. I just saw 6. All right, Brigette?
1 times 12.
Ehab? All right, Ehab. Anthony? Perfect. Joanna? 6 times 2. It is. This is, Kaylee, 2 groups of 6. This is 6 groups of 2. They're not. They both have the same product, but the expression's different. Tanaya.
12 times 1.
12 times 1. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I said I had thought of 6. Derek? 3 times 4. All right, let me give you another one. Y'all are pretty good at this. I'm not. I'm going to pick numbers that we know. How about, but wait, number talks, are we just talkative?
No.
Okay, we'll fix it. Marker. I'm calling on people that have their thumbs ready, not doing all that. Sanaya. 3 times 5. Galileo. Isaac, I like how you sit and calm. Bridget. All right, question. Jordan. The way, an easy way to also think of if you have any more factors. Okay, start at 1. So we know 1 times 15. Is 2 times anything? Can 2 times anything give you 15?
No. Yes. Wait. No. 2 times anything?
Yeah. Can 2 times anything give you 15? Melanie says no.
Yes. No. 2 times 9.
What are the closest things that can give you to 15? What's 2 times 7?
14.
All right, so 2 times 7 is 14.
2 times 8. 2 times 8. No, 16.
I hear 2 times 8. What is 2 times 8?
15. It's just one number.
2 times 8 is what?
16. 15. 16.
So we have 7 and we have 8. So there's nothing that can get us 2 times 15. So what would that mean? 7.5, yes, but let's stick with whole numbers. What does that mean about the number 15? It's an odd number because it doesn't have its, we don't have a partner. I was whacking it off. Lorenzo? Noah? Soleil?
1 times 20.
Carlos? All right. Anthony?
10 times
Okay. Let's see. Who have I got left? Vanessa? 4 times 5. All right, so we have 5 times 4, 4 times 5, 2 times 10, 10 times 2, 1 times 20, 20 times 1.
4 times 5.
Is that it?
6.
I don't know. We have our 1, we have 2, 3 times anything. Can 3 times anything give me 20? All right, no. So we have 4, we have 5. What about 6 times anything?
I don't think so. No. Oh, it can. It can.
I don't know. Can it? All right, Trishan's testing some things out.
I got a 10 by 3.
What do you think, Trishan?
8 times 3.
All right, Trisha says 8 times 3. Let's test it out. I'm going to do 3 times 8. All right, I have 3 groups of 8. Galilea just said 8 plus 8 is what?
16.
And then I have another 8. 16 plus 8? 24. So that goes over, Trisha. What about 3 groups of 6? All right, so 6 plus 6 is what? Plus another 6?
18.
Oops. All right, that's 18. So far we haven't found anything. What's y'all's 3 times 7? Y'all know that one pretty quick. What's that? 21. So that's not 20. So we haven't found anything. 3 groups of anything. All right, one more. Yeah, I don't like the green marker. Sorry. All right, that's good enough. All right, let's try. It's fine. You should know one right now. Brian, what you got? Sanaya? Jordan? I see you, Trisha. You're not quiet, so I'm moving right past you. Melanie. Perfect, Melanie. 12 times 2. Noah?
8 times 3.
Isaac?
12 times 1. I mean, 24 times 1.
No, we have 1 times. Oh, nope, yeah, we do already have it. Yeah. 2 times 12. Vanessa? 2 times what? Well, 12 times 2 is 24. So if we want to use 2, what could we do? Because 2 times 9, well, if 12 times 2 is 24, 2 times 9 is not going to be 24. 2 already has a partner. So, okay, they already have it up here. 2 times 12. So those are my 2s. Do I have both my 3s? I have both my 3s. I have both my 1s. I have both my 2s. What about 4? Back row. I want you to think about 4. Can I have 4 groups of anything that gets me?
Yes.
Don't shout it out. Derek, be thinking about, can I have 4 groups of anything that gets me 24? Instead of playing with your ID badge, could you actually put that up? Lorenzo thinks he knows. E-Hop thinks he knows. Vanessa. Carlos. Melanie thinks she knows. I want to know if 4 groups of anything can get me 24. Lorenzo, what do you think?
4 times 6.
All right, let's try it out. There's my 4 groups. All right, 6. If I have another 6, what do I have? 12. All right, another 6.
15, 16, 17, 18, 19.
No, that's not 19.
18,
6,
12,
12, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. So, Lorenzo, you were right. 4 times 6. Anthony. So if I have 4 times 6, what else do I have? What else could I have? 6 times 4. Yep. 7 ways to make 24. All right. 5. Front row. Quietly go back to your seat. Yes, ma'am?
Can you send Katie to the front office for a second?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, front row. Second row, quietly go back to your seat. Isaac, I said quietly go back to your seat. Next row. classroom. All right, go ahead and open your math journals up to a clean page. Yep. Oh, you did. Riley, let's get these. Oh, Taylor, come get these. All right, 5, 4, 3. All right, I just handed each one of you a bag of numbers. There are 2 each table, a bag of numbers. There are 2 sets of numbers, 1 through 10 in the bag. Please keep the numbers in the bag. Please keep the numbers in the bag. What you are going to be doing as a table, yes, as a table, each one of you does not have your own set of numbers, so you have to do this as a table. You're going to pull 2 numbers out. So say I pulled, that's a horrible 2. 2. Galileo, you think you know? There's some random humming that needs to stop, or I'll be calling home. Alright, so I have the numbers 2 and 3. What number sentence could I make with 2 and 3? Tanaya? No, not number sentence. Equation. What equation can I make with 2 and 3? So like, finish the equation out. I have 2 times 3. Equals 6. So what you're going to be doing as your group, you're going to pull 2 numbers. You're going to write your equation. Next, you're going to represent this equation 3 different ways. So what's one way I can? Which one way? All right, Jayla says number line. All right, so I have 1 group of 3. So where would that put me?
3.
My 2 groups of 3. Where would that put me? 6. That's one way I can represent this. Taylor, what's another way I can represent this equation? An array. All right. Vanessa, what's another way I can represent this? Equal groups. 1, 2 groups of 3. So, you choose 2 numbers. I want the number sentence. I want you to represent 3 different ways. And then, I want you to come up with a word problem for this equation. So, let's see. Where could we be? We're at the beach. And Thank you, ma'am. We're at the beach and Soleil. Soleil and who?
No.
Soleil and Jayla. Soleil and Jayla build
Build. Two. Build.
How many sandcastles do they need to build for our equation to work?
Three. Two and three little flags.
Alright, so let's,
Two with three flags in each.
I just want, how many people are in this story?
Two.
Two. So I already have represented my two. So how many sandcastles do they need to build each? Three. So at the beach, Soleil and Jayla built 3 sandcastles each. So what would my question be? At the beach, Soleil and Jayla built 3 sandcastles each. Carlos, what would my question be? All right, how many sandcastles did they build in total and all? No. Soleil and Jayla built 3 sandcastles each. Each one of them built 3 sandcastles. How many sandcastles did they build in all? Alright, so I have my equation. I have 3 ways to represent my equation, and then I have a word problem to go with my equation, just from pulling those 2 numbers. Yes, Jayla?
Well, we're working on the two-step.
We'll probably do 2-step Thursday.
Because I have a good one for you.
Well, you know what, Jayla? I'm not gonna stop you. If you have a good 2-step, and it represents this equation, then you go ahead, okay?
Okay.
What were you gonna say?
At the beach, Soleil and Jayla built 3 sandcastles each. But then 2 people knocked down 2 castles.
Okay. So kind of like the ones we were doing yesterday. So let's run with what Jayla just said, just quickly. All right. So she asked the same, but then she said 2 people. You said somebody knocked down 2 sandcastles. So how many sandcastles do they have left?
To answer my respond to the questions. So the first question is description. They want to know what happened. Well, I entered a 3rd grade classroom that was taught by a teacher who had been teaching for 4 years, but it was her first year teaching 3rd grade math, science, and social studies. So I entered the class, excuse me. I entered the class and the students were sitting on the carpet. I then went to the back table to sit down. The teacher was in the middle of an activity. It was called mental math or number talks. The teacher was using a dry erase board and was writing different products on the board. Different products on the board. She was looking for students to provide all the different expressions for the product. She gave students expectations and modeled how to respond while on the carpet. She was called on various students using the signal with the thumbs in their chest to identify who had a response and for whoever was still thinking. I decided I was going to track her response by learning differences, gender, ethnicity, and repeated students. I observed Mrs. B providing several products. providing several products and allowed students to respond um, in many different ways. When I say respond in many different ways, meaning that if the product was, excuse me, if the product was 24, they were to give expression showing all the different ways they could make 24 using multiplication, of course. She allows the students to respond in many different ways. She received a lot of feedback, a lot of engagement, meaning the students wanted to participate. But after they finished the number talks, she closed out that activity, and then they moved to their desk, and then they did a guided math activity. She then explained her expectations. She modeled how to identify. She explained her expectation. Then she modeled how to do the activity. They did an example together. She then asked students, did they have any questions? Did they have a clear understanding? There was a couple students who wanted to add some additional information or give a suggestion. She allowed them to share with the class. After there were no more questions, she then released the students actually to their stations. They were paired up in groups of 4. She passed out cards and some type of station book or some type of booklet for them to use. So the next part of the cycle and gifts reflect the cycle. They want to know about my feelings, what was I feeling, and what was I thinking. As I was reflecting, I was thinking I felt a little bit awkward and a little bit silly with the camera staring at me. So I noticed I continued to kind of try to adjust the camera, kind of move it, and then eventually I became engaged in the activity. I was trying to be inconspicuous and discourage students from trying to engage with me. I was thinking that the activity that was on the carpet with the number talks, it was engaging. The students were knowledgeable. They were using academic vocabulary. I was not sure if I was going to be able to identify what I was looking for in the math lessons because this video was about classroom cultural awareness and was it present in the classroom, looking at differentiated instruction for learners. There's different type of learners. So I start to kind of become worried because it was a math course and was I going to be able to identify any of those things, or should this have been, I should have asked for to come in at another time or maybe see another teacher. I started to think about, after that, then I began to think about the instruction, how she was instructing. I was thinking about some strategies I would use, and then I quickly realized that was not my objective. So I had to then, once again, put on the lens of an administrator and refer back to objective that I was looking for. I did not feel like this. I didn't feel like I was adjusting well initially, but as time progressed, I did. And so once I did, then I started to feel like the students were on the carpet too long. I noticed some of her students were laying down, talking, or playing. It encouraged off-task behavior because some students became disengaged, and it was hard to differentiate this activity for students who were still developing, or you can tell they were quite not on level with the other students. However, overall, I felt that the teacher was facilitating and more than 80% of the students were engaged, but it seemed the activity was lasting forever. So, by lasting a long time, I just felt like it wasn't differentiated enough based on the objective I was looking at for all learners, which moves us to the evaluation piece in the Gibbs reflective cycle. In the evaluation piece, the question is, what was good and bad about the experience? So I'm going to talk about from two different perspectives. It was different to be able to look through an administrator's point of view. The opportunity allowed me to view how easy it was to notice other things in the classroom that I mentioned before that the teacher cannot see. Also, it was good to see students using academic vocabulary, having discourse to justify their responses, not just shouting out answers, working well with one another, uh, or even supporting them while they're trying to come up with ways to see, would there be another expression left for that product that was on the board for Miss B. It was interesting how it appeared the teacher covered the entire room for responses because as she called on different students, it really worked completely around the room. However, by the data that I recorded, she did not reach all 25 students. I can say each ethnicity in the class was called on to respond and participated. I can say that majority of the students were engaged. I'm not sure if we really reflect on any multicultural appreciation during that time. However, mostly all the students were engaged. Each ethnicity was called on in the class and each gender. What I experienced as bad was the teacher was thinking I was evaluating her teaching or instruction style. Even after I explained, it was all about how I was observing and interpreting data. Also, I noticed three things that did not meet what I was looking for in the classroom. The task lacked learner differentiation. The teacher called on more boys than girls and on more African American students. She also repeated some students more than 3 times. She never called on about maybe 7 students. I also observed her more firm and maybe short responses with girls. But when it came to the boys, if they responded incorrectly or their response didn't match the product, she extended the explanation for the boys. And she didn't seem so short or firm. Also, most of the learners asked to respond were high achievers and a few ESL students also. However, students below grade level were not called upon. And she did call on a few of those students that were in the back as a redirect only. And she did say she was going to come back for their response. But she didn't come back and she didn't allow for wait time for them to respond. I'm pretty positive Miss B is not doing it intentionally, and she probably feels like she is calling on all of the students, uh, all of her students in the classroom. I believe without recording the data, I would have thought she called just about everyone in the class. Therefore, as an administrator, you have the opportunity to really build capacity in staff and help strengthen maybe areas of weakness or areas hidden from the teacher. So, as an administrator, coming in and observing the classroom, the the objective and the looks are much different from if I'm just going in to learn different strategies from a teacher or going in to maybe model a lesson, and um, the perspective is a little bit different. Okay, we're going to move to the next portion, which is the analyst, where we're analyzing from Gibbs Reflective Circle. It says, what sense can you make of the situation? Well, I think Miss B was trying to equally move around the room and give every student the opportunity to respond, justify, and check for reasonableness. I do not think she was focusing on culture, gender, or ethnicity. I think she was focusing on content and students who had a good concept, and sometimes students who were struggling to understand or who might have had some type of problem staying on task or focusing as far as it might be considered behavior. As an administrator, I would have, I believe it would just behoove me to not include diversity awareness in the lesson plans. I think as educators, we should be thinking about that. Become more intentional with the questioning. And I think once we do that, then we're being more inclusive instead of maybe singling out and not purposely. Then we'll be more conscientious of it, which brings to the conclusion. And the conclusion is, what else could have been done? I see that my part on this from Ms. B is that I could have explained in details to the teacher what I was looking for, maybe approaching the teacher with the end in mind for when I came into her classroom. This could have provided more awareness for her and the students to include or share their thinking from their point and possibly make connections to how they learn and or understand. This would then deepen the discourse or the rigor and provide insight to the teacher on how the student learned. I share with Miss B my observation and notes and the video. She was shocked by how she gravitated toward the boys more and did not call on students who were below grade level. She also shared she was firmer with the girls because she believed the girls have this. You know, the boys she has to really work with and focus more. So ethically, she could evaluate students on their knowledge and not on content, nor on their gender. You know, just making assumptions the girls have it together more than the boys, or the girls are more focused just because of their gender. So my action would be, if I were to do this again, is as I debrief with Ms. B and I shared the data with her, the next time I will provide details of what I would be looking for in the culture awareness classroom. I would provide some readings or workshop to build within her class, and I would come during another content lesson like science or social studies. Often, those courses lend themselves to discuss different cultures and celebrate ethnicity. It will provide opportunities also for students to share their culture, traditions, and compare or contrast to others. I would suggest ways Ms. B can include time or short responses for students below grade level to participate. She could meet with them the day before or just before they go to the carpet or transition to the new activity to maybe front load them. I will remind Ms. B not to lean towards stereotypes when it comes to students. How this could improve is by me as the administrator meet with Ms. B and be clear on my expectations for a classroom to be successful and more cultural awareness and being gender sensitive. Therefore, it would the responsibility would fall back on me as a leader, not communicating what I was looking for during my observation. Had I done that, maybe there would have been some other things that Mrs. B would have done with her class or incorporated to help generate that. But moving forward, I think if I was her administrator, then I should have done a better job in letting her know what the expectation was, what I was looking for, what the objectives were, so we can then in turn um, meet those goals. So putting this all together and during this observation, I have learned that administrators have a lot of responsibility. Their perspective is different. And I think their perspective, yes, it is instruction, but it's really building the capacity of their staff. Um, what I think we as teachers are thinking they're looking at is not what they're looking at as administrators. Often I think now it might be they're looking at the whole child and we're limiting and focusing so much on instruction and content instead of using those other surroundings, their cultures, to make connections to get a deeper uh, understanding of the lesson. That is my conclusion, and for that is my conclusion for my observation video